country were looking at what was happening because the media. We had a big protest. For 40 days we sat in a marketplace and we didn't get up. At that time, eminent people came and got involved. They felt that there was a need for a national campaign, for a legislation, and the legislation process began in Delhi at the same time. So what I'm trying to say is, please look for issues. I know that there was a mayor who got the award at the same time as I, who has worked very hard to get information out. I know that in northern Philippines, there's a group that has been looking at construction works and getting information out. Just see how many there are in your country. India and Philippines are quite alike. I've always felt it through my first trip that our politics is similar, our reactions are similar, the women are strong, outspoken in both countries. I like it. So when I come, yesterday I came from Delhi to Bangkok, Bangkok to the Philippines. In Bangkok, though so much closer to India, I felt I was in a foreign country in many ways. But when I come to the Philippines, everything else apart, I still feel an empathy and a sympathy because our conditions are very similar. So I really do think if we can get all these people to speak and get together, and I think there are plenty of them, and they must become visible. The trouble is that you have journalists at this meeting, and there are journalists coordinating the meeting. If you get journalists to make this visible somehow, the media wants news, media wants excitement, media wants sensation, and it's all there. So we get them all together and project it. I think things can happen very, very effectively. So I think today, don't lose hope. I always think that the best times for our campaign were the worst times. Because when they put you under pressure, you organize more. And actually this gentleman, the Chief Minister, died 3 days ago. I had been meaning to go to him to thank him. He became the Vice President of India and then he was too old, he retired. To say to him, how glad I am that you oppressed us for 3 years. Because you oppressed us for 3 years, we mobilized for 3 years. Every time somebody oppresses us and mobilizes us, we get another. Recently, we've been fighting against corruption in the village councils, and all the village council heads have organized against us, saying we won't give it. They said, we'll throw you out, we'll beat you up. They've beaten people up also. But they've beaten us up, and we all asked for special inquiries, and every village council has embezzled millions of rupees. It's come out in the open. So the public opinion gets into our favor. Much more broad-based public opinion than we would have managed if we had just fought it in the village council. So every time we have opposition, we see it as a great opportunity for another mobilization. And I think that's what I'd like to tell you. Actually, I had a lot to say, but I don't know whether I can be as extensively precise as my friend Toby has been. Yes, extensively precise. But I think I'll be as precise as I can be, and the last speaker is always short of time. So anyway, I'll try and do what I can, but I've come a long, long way, and I would be very unhappy if I went away without saying to you what some of the very important things that I want to say. The most important thing for me in this campaign has been the idea of democracy. And I think we have to sell it like that. We've been trying to say, and now it's a reality, that it is democracy we are fighting for through the right to information. It has been, and it's now acknowledged as a transformatory law, that if you want to get any other right, if you don't have RTI, you don't get it. Now they accept it. There are lots of people who said to me, what are you doing? It's not what we want. We have to fight poverty. We have to fight this thing. We have to fight this. We used to say, no, but you don't fight your poverty, but fight with right to information. Some dramatic things have happened in India. We've been able to put a moratorium on the genetic modification of foods through pressure on government. Government has been mobilized to act. The Minister for Environment has been forced to go into the mode of public hearings, go into 6 places and have public hearings. And I'll just now show a little 2 clips so that you see people's voices, and we'll come back. Can I come to you so that I can say which one to show?
भी ले भाई साहब आए हमारे पास, जब पता चला हमारे कि भाई तुमने क्या नाली का काम किया, मैंने कहा भाई बगल में नाली पर काम होता था ना, सही में काटे वाले था, बल्कि आप नहीं काटे गांधी जी बैठ गए था, लेकिन नहीं था, मैं नहीं जानता बिल्कुल पहली बार। हम कर देते हैं हाँ, ये अंगूठा नहीं है, हम साइन करते हैं। आप साइन करते हैं? हाँ, अंगूठा नहीं है, अभी आंगली लगे हुई।
Imagine that you need 10 tons of steel to reinforce. One scenario of corruption is that instead of 10 tons, you specify that you need 20 tons. And then you put in 10 tons and you then book the cost of 20 tons. It's a 10-ton corruption which everybody is happy about because you have a fantastic building. 20 tons have been spent. There's much happens and you're happy about that. Scenario number 2 is when you need 10 tons, you specify 10 tons, but you put in only 8 tons. This is again another large body of corrupt practices that exist. There what happens is that eyebrows are raised, people wonder, but it's difficult to expose because you're not going to break down buildings to be able to check how much steel is gone. So that also gives a lot. But there's a third scenario of corruption which hits you and me as scams, and which is what the system responds. Is when you need 10 tons of steel, you put in only 3 and then you book 10. What happens? The building collapses. Scams. That is scam. That's what scams. So what you're really seeing today in the form of these big explosions are only that very small, narrow, foolish spectrum of corrupt practices. Foolish from the point of view of the person indulging in those corrupt practices, where you say 10, you put in 3 and you book 10 and the building collapses. There are many buildings that don't collapse. Now, what does right to information? What does the Jensen White technology, as I see, do?
सुन के सरपंच वारपंच बनाते हैं और दस्तखत करके आगे जाता है, जब कहते वीडियो साहब खाते हैं यार, वीडियो साहब नहीं मानते, कल आना हो जाओ आगे मिलेगा। अबे वीडियो साहब को क्या बोले, एक अर्ज करने का मतलब अबे उस सरपंच को क्या बोले, उनसे ज्यादा विरोध करोगा तो 2 गुंडे मिलेंगे, रोड पे जूता रख के चले जाएंगे, चप्पू मार के, कौन है क्या कोई होगा गुंडा, हमने क्या, हम क्या करेंगे। ये बात है साहब, थाना को रखते हैं तो केस भी होगा तो कहेगा 1000 रुपये लाओ, केस दर्ज करता हूँ, बाकी 100 का केस दर्ज करेगा, साहूकार पे जूता रखेंगे। बोलो आप,
तो इसका क्या इलाज क्या है?
इसका इलाज यही कि भ्रष्टाचार मिटना चाहिए। अब हम आपको खोल के बताएं तो ऐसे भ्रष्ट अफसरों को डिसमिस किया जाए, बिना पेंशन घर भेजे जाए और उनका जो लोभ लालच है वो सारा नष्ट कर दिया जाए तो भ्रष्टाचार मिट जाएंगे।
This was a film shown to the Parliamentary Standing Committee. When the bill was in Parliament, we have a standing committee, I don't know if you have it, where the bill is examined and any citizen can go and depose and testify in front of the standing committee. We were invited by the standing committee and we showed this film to members of Parliament. These are excerpts from that film and they still passed the law. It was a coup, as you know. They didn't realize exactly what we were asking for. Because we were asking for fundamental sharing of power. That's what right to information is all about. Fundamental sharing of power under democracy. And they didn't quite comprehend what they were doing.